G'day viewers, it's Craig Jenkins here again from Bendigo Hydroblasting. In this game I get a lot of parts coming to the shop that are pretty ordinary to say the least and could do with a light dry blast before they go into the big machine for that Bendigo Hydroblasting magic finish. So I dragged this old cabinet out of the junk shed and I'm going to try and modify it and make it usable. Well, anybody that's bought one of these will know that they rate right up there on the useless piece of shit scale. I bought this one about 10 years ago and soon after stored it out of sight and it allowed it to follow its true purpose in life, breeding spiders. Anyhow, I've watched a few YouTube videos on modifications that should make this thing work. You may also notice in this video that my clothes may change through the course of the video. That's because I'll be doing the mods to this thing over the next few days in between paying jobs. I've already been to the hardware store and bought a few plumbing fittings that should allow me to modify the media supply to the handpiece. Well, here's a look at what I've bought so far. The lights are probably a bit big, so I think I'll just mount one and see how it goes and change it out later if it's no good. I spent about an hour in the plumbing section screwing shit together, so I think I've got enough stuff here to get started. Hey, and a big shout out to all you DIY YouTube vloggers out there that told me to get a nut and tail thingy from the electrical section. At my hardware store, the plumbing conduit won't fit into the electrical fittings. This may not be a big deal to some, but the electrical section is about 80 metres from the plumbing section. 6 trips back and forth. I bought these plumbing bits that should do the job with a slight modification. First up, I think I'll pull the glass and gloves off this thing and shift this shelf thingy down a bit closer to the floor. I'll probably chuck a bit of masonite on it to cover the hole. I won't bore you with the disassembly and modification. I'll just give you a look at it when that part's done. I better get into it. Well, that's where we're up to. I've gutted this thing, taken the light and everything out, removed the gloves and glass and all that crap. I've dropped that shelf down there, but to be brutally honest with you, there's too many spiders in and on this damn thing for me to be stuffing around with. So what I might do is I might put it out in the yard and the apprentice might be able to give it a wash. She can deal with the spiders. Anyone that knows me knows I ain't good with them 8-legged little bastards. Well, Puna's out here washing that cabinet. We'll just go for a wander over and see how she's going. Oh yeah, looks like she's doing a pretty good job. Told her not to worry about the spiders. I said there was no deadly spiders in Australia. Anyway, how's it going over here, Puna? Looking nice and clean?
Yes, good, boss.
Okay, good work. Thank you.
Okay.
Keep up the good work. Righto, first thing we've got to do is put a hole right through the guts of this thing here so that this nipple fits in there and does up from the other side. What we'll do is we'll use this hole saw. It's a little bit smaller than the OD of this, but we'll just trim it up with the good old round file when we're done. It's only a mil or so. And just like that, with the magic of television, we've got a hole straight through the guts of that thing. That will fit that nipple through there, no problem at all. Now I'm going to need to put a nut on that side, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the lathe and trim off just this little bit here that's threaded on the inside, and I'll use that to screw that nipple down tight. Well, that bit there we've just parted off on the lathe should screw straight onto that thread there, which it does. I'll just put that in the vise and we'll nip that up tight and move on to the next bit. Here's all the parts here. That's what we're going to be looking at. I've just roughly screwed them together. I'll go through and nip all them up in a minute. I'm not going to worry about thread tape or anything like that because they're all tapered pipe fittings, and it's a suction line anyway, so it's not as though there's going to be any pressure on it. So we'll screw that together and move on. Well, there's that bit all screwed together, just the way I want it. And the cabinet's back in here nice and clean. So what we'll do is we'll mount that piece back under there where it belongs, and then we'll think about fitting up the feed line inside the cabinet. Well, that bit's all done. Now we'll bash a hole in there and mount these parts in there. Well, I don't know how well you can see this, but I've mounted up the supply line in there, and it's mounted out here. And what we'll do now is we'll add a bit of poly pipe from the garden and join those two bits up together. Well, there you go, folks. That should work. Well, I've got a light in there now. It looks as though it's going to do the job. One should be good enough. What we might do now is look at making a cover up to go over that hole where the vacuum cleaner is going to plug in. I'll give it a go out of plastic, I think. Well, there's a bit of a sketch of the template I'm going to use for the cover inside the cabinet for the vacuum cleaner. We'll cut that out now, and then we'll have a go at warming it up and folding it into shape. Well, hopefully you got the gist of what I was trying to achieve here. That piece of ductwork, I've got a large opening here at the bottom, so hopefully the heavier particles of the garnet that I use won't get sucked up in there. It'll only allow the dust to flow up in there and into the vacuum cleaner. We'll drill some holes in that now and mount it up on the inside and fill up all the gaps with a bit of silicone. Well, there we go. It's all mounted up. It doesn't look too out of place, and I reckon it'll do what it's designed to do, and hopefully it'll suck out dust and not garnet. Now I reckon we'll have a go at putting this glass in. I've got a new screen protector there, and while we're at it, we'll put the gloves in while we can access it through the top. Well, I've fitted up a new dust seal around that opening where the glass goes over here. I've got some perspex and the piece of glass. I've fitted up a new screen protector to that. I've cleaned it up all as good as I can. So now we'll chuck it back together and give you a look at that when it's done, and then move on to the next bit. Okay, that's the glass all fitted up. The perspex is pretty ordinary and scratched, but I'll probably have to replace that at some stage, but you can actually see in there, so that's a good start. Next part of the puzzle, I think we'll mount this garnet suction line to that fitting down there, and to do that I'm going to have to cut a bit of a hole in one of the corners of this thing to allow that pipe to feed through to the gun. So we'll do that now. Well, we've hooked the air and the delivery line up to that, so we'll plug some compressed air into it now and give it a dry run, see if it works. Now, don't fear, I've got a air regulator and a vacuum cleaner that I'm going to hook up at a later date. So we're just getting this thing going for a start, and we'll give it a dry run. Oh, that sounds promising. What we might do now is put a bit of garnet down in the bottom of that and see if it feeds up like it's supposed to. Well, I'll put a couple of scoops of garnet in there. I haven't overloaded it because I want to shift it later. I don't want it too heavy. I've had a fiddle with that little bleed valve down there and cracked it just slightly, and I seem to have a good run of garnet coming out there. You probably can't see it. I'll just give it a go now. There we go. So that's looking all right. It's looking heaps better than it used to. I've got this old painted crappy caliper here. We might give it a dry run, put that in the machine, blast all that paint off and see how it goes, and then we might even stick it in the wet blaster, the hydroblaster, and clean it up after that and see how it comes out. That's that caliper there done. It's done exactly what I wanted. It's removed all the paint from that. You wouldn't put that or give that back to the customer looking like that though, but it's been surprisingly gentle on the surface. I dare say I haven't had the air pressure that I would like, but I get that because I'm running it through 20 foot of this crap. So when I actually get that blasting cabinet in place, I'll hard plumb it and give it a decent volume of air. Yeah, that's come up good. What we'll do now is we'll put it in the hydroblasting cabinet and see how it comes up. We'll put it in here now. This is where the magic happens. Have a look at that finish, folks. That's what 5 minutes in the TARDIS gets you. That looks sensational now. It's almost twinge-worthy, that. Well, thanks for watching, folks. If you've got one of these cabinets, it's well worth spending a bit of coin and time doing these modifications. The improvement's mind-blowing. I'll give you another look at it when I've hooked up the vacuum and hard plumbed the air, but that will be in a later video. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and share it with your mates. Until next time, take care, y'all.